I'll start with that. Later in the show, we'll have more talk on that. Matt Lacerda will join us in the bonus hour. He's been over there covering for us the comings and goings of visitors and those that sign in the portal and others that might sign in the portal and all of the conversations, all the goodness. And, they're bringing in another offensive lineman. That's a good thing. Joshua Raymond comes over from Vanderbilt. This is a young man who had been kind of a kid that, while briefly at Vanderbilt, was going to be a tackle. He is going to be a guard here is what it looks like. And so he's here. And Gunnar Hansen was kind of his role model at Vanderbilt as a senior a year ago there, who's now here. And so, he's had the tutelage of a guy that's already on this offensive line. Again, different position, but Florida State adding to their offensive line. That is good news. They're looking to add even more in the portal. We probably get more names soon enough. Florida State's class at this point, if you look at the portal, what have we added in total? If you go all the way back to the end of the year to where we stand now, I think it's 16 players in the portal now, Tom. Is that right? I think that's the total. And going, what we added in December all the way to where we are now.
That was the heavy lift, yes.
So 16. It's a top 10 portal class for Florida State. Okay.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think we said this earlier about the backfill of the roster. Some of these players are younger. It's a hybrid portal / prep class because you're starting to grab a couple of kids that are very, very young.
Yeah, I like when you grab the younger linemen and you don't need guys to come in and play right away, those kinds of kids. Because again, I described yesterday in the portal this time of year, like with the kids that enter into the spring right after spring practice. A lot of this feels an awful lot like when you look at the players that come in from elsewhere, that you're just exchanging backup players, guys that were second stringers at their previous stop who want a new lease on life, and you're giving them that because you need the depth. And you might like their long-term prospects. You might like the quality of the player that they are, but what you recognize in many cases, obviously not the case with the Houston corner, but everybody else or a lot of the guys, it's sort of like, okay, at least this go around in the spring, you're coming in to kind of fill a role as a backup and provide the needed depth. They would have liked to have added another, I think, starting safety. They're going to miss out on the kid from Tennessee. He's going to go down to Miami, and it looks like you're going to miss him.
Yeah, and the Houston kid is Miami or maybe LSU. Expensive. Halsey is his name.
Yep.
Yeah, that is a position that even before they went shopping, I was hoping we would grab a safety. I think we've been awful there since Akeem Dent left, and even he was up and down, but his up is the best we've been in some time. So I'm a little nervous.
Yeah.
A little nervous.
Oh, I'm nervous about it too. I listen, this is the byproduct of you aren't the belle of the ball. So when you try to get a quality player who's at a position of need that has started games in the SEC, well, other people want that guy too. And even if you were able to match the expense required for his interest, he's got options. He could go to LSU where they didn't go 2-10. And he could go to Miami where they didn't go 2-10. And this is the price you pay for going 2-10. You don't get the guys on the upper end of the portal right now that have starting experience that have been, desired by somebody else who's had 9 or 10 win seasons of late. And that's the tough part of it. Not without really overspending. And so that's kind of where you're at. I get it. It's the way it has to be. I do like this backfill of the roster. I do like finding quality depth pieces. I really like it when you grab somebody that is 19 years old at a position where you have failed to develop players under the previous regime, meaning the position coach on the offensive line. You did not develop players at all. And now this is Herb Hand saying, I need better clay. I got to have something that's a little bit more suitable for what we're trying to do. The way I teach it, I don't see it on this roster. We don't have quality depth. We got a chance to bring in some guys that I can develop, and they'll be here as they turn 20 and 21, we hope, ideally. And they've gotten a couple guys like that lately. So we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, it's look, it's a kid from Vanderbilt that Herb Hand knows because he went to Lake Mary, so that's right there in his neighborhood. He recruited him at UCF, so there's a prior relationship there. So you would think that there is a good understanding of what this player is capable of. I like when I see things like the fact that this kid's 6'4", 300 pounds, and he's listed as a tackle. He was in prep ranks listed as a tackle. Vanderbilt lists him as a tackle, and Herb Hand says, "Nah, man, you're going to play guard." Okay, good. I don't want us to be shooting for players, to use the analogy that I so often did, that are 6'1" that we're gonna say are first basemen. That are first basemen.
Yeah.
Why are we recruiting a 6'1" first base? Good. Don't tell me we're recruiting a 6'4", 300-pound tackle. Please, no. Tell me that 6'4", 300-pound prospect is going to be interior offensive line for you, and that's what he is at least going to start off as here, and that's good. You can cross-train. You can have smaller guys on the perimeter if there's an emergency or an injury, but we got to do better here in a lot of ways, and I like 6'4", 300 for the interior, and between that and Matthews, okay, good. Herb, get some guys in here that you think can turn into a player for us in a year or two.
Yeah, because Jalen Matthews is a freshman. He just went through his freshman season, or not even. So, yeah, he's a freshman, and you got two really young guys. Let's develop these guys. Let's see if we can turn this thing around bit by bit. Going to be a bit arduous. Got to have some sex.
Sure.
Got to have some success.
Not now, Frank. I'm busy. We
Well
have
played.
work to do.
I really wonder if that remake's going to be any good. I sure hope so. Yes, got to have some success or sex. One way or the other, get this thing turned around. If sex would help, but you got to have some success along the way if you're going to be able to court, if you will.
Hey,
Since
all right,
we're
here we go.
You're going to be able to court folks in the future to get involved.
Right.
To be part of the success story.
That's right. In the next 15 minutes, this will devolve into Shakespeare puns, quivers, and sheaths and so forth.
The whole thing. Yes. Anyhow, we'll continue to monitor the portal, the sex, the success, the lack thereof, all of it, and hope that Florida State can get something of note. Something to be excited about.
I know the fact is true. Just it's a numbers game. There's at least a few people that tuned in late to that part of it. And he said, we'll monitor the portal and the sex and something else.
Yeah, they're like, what? Whoa, what?
What did I miss?
What are they?
I was only 6 minutes late. What is going on?
What a great start to the show. Man, they got right to the juicy stuff early on. You think, yesterday I cracked up laughing because we didn't hit on it a lot. There was a cursory glance at it, and then I read more about the money being spent. And you can just throw your hands up in the air sometimes with college football the way that it is, where you're just like, well, I don't know. What are we? So the report came out yesterday that Texas is spending somewhere in the neighborhood of $35 to $40 million on their college football team, the roster this year. And I remember it was just a year ago, we were all somewhat aghast at Ohio State spending $20 million. As it turned out, $20 million was enough. It won them the national championship, and they put 14 guys into the NFL.
It did not do the same for Jimbo when he spent $20 million at Texas A&M.
No, it did not. It got him a high-ranking class that didn't accomplish a thing. You have to be functioning at a high level. You can't just build a roster of high-ranking talent. You have to have some semblance of an organization that is operating functionally. Let's put it that way. And yes, there's other things that go into it. But in the same way that we looked at Ohio State a year ago is the way you're going to rightfully look at Texas this year. I don't think Arch Manning strikes me as the kind of kid that is affected by pressure, but can you imagine the amount of pressure he now feels? You are at the helm of a $40 million enterprise for this year's football team, and What is expected with $40 million? A national championship. That period. That's what you're playing for. You can't do the Miami thing, certainly, which is invest all of this money, bring in the number one pick in the draft, and accomplish nothing. You have to do something with this. You have to go and you're going to have to do it out of the SEC where it's a little bit more difficult, A. And B, just winning the SEC this early in Texas's time in the league would be sort of a stepping stone in the minds of the Texas faithful.
Look, they're already in the playoff as we sit here today, because if it's close, I'm telling you, the committee and or those shows are going to talk about, well, it's a $40 million roster. I mean, this is what the SEC does. Clearly they have more talent. So we're going to have to project them in. At 2 losses, we place most teams at number 8 or number 9. This team's number 2 in the country because they spent $40 million on their roster. So they're already into the playoff. The question is, do they get the bye? And then the secondary question is, do they get a choke job this year or not? Because that's all it is. You're right. They've gone from, this is a fun ride. Look at this. We were so close to winning the SEC championship game. The playoff was a disappointing end, but onward and upward, this is going to be oh God, now if we don't win, we are the biggest losers in the world because it's now out. The secret's out that we're spending half an NHL salary cap.
$40 million
on our roster. Yeah.
Tom, I thought about a rich Texas donor, an oil guy who's tired of it. We need to win. I'm tired of this. I thought about him, breaking his way into the athletic department doors and saying to, the powers that be up front that are monitoring who comes and goes, I'm Sam. And they only have to say his name because Sam is known by all at Texas. Sam is given a lot of money. And Sam has the ability to gain an audience with Steve Sarkisian. He can do that. Just the same way that the the A&M booster who would put his boots up on the table. Jimbo, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
That's right.
I was working. Yeah, but I understand, buddy. We just talk for a second. Anyhow, what I was thinking, and then Jimbo's like, what is going on here? And that's just the way this works. Yeah, his eyes are darting. He's looking every which way. Yeah.
Can I have the dog back in here? I like the dog better.
So I wondered what that looked like. It's the Texas One. You understand? It's the Texas One Fund.
Oh. Mm.
That is the name of their NIL collective. It is Texas One.
A little different than the Circumference Fund.
Kind of like the Circumference Fund.
It is, especially if it's just the number 1 in script. You're like, oh, man, what are we doing here?
Texas One is the official collective of the University of Texas, providing NIL opportunities for student athletes. Texas One connects student athletes with national and regional brands, everybody. Businesses, organizations, utilizing Texas athletes to promote, grow, highlight these brands in the marketplace here in Austin. You can become a member today for the low, low price. Yeah. And why don't you just click on that annual contribution? Why don't you?
Richard doesn't need his tuition.
Make a contribution of any amount to maximize Longhorn success, shall we?
You could pay off your student debts right now, or you could take that money that you have to pay off your student debts and contribute to the Texas One Fund. I know what I would do.
It makes you feel a little bit overwhelmed, though. It does. So you're like, dog, well, $40 million, huh? We're all playing for second. Nobody's, you're not, and we're not broke, but we ain't that, and can't be until you start winning some GT games.
I don't know when we could get the 40. I think you'd have to.
Well, winning games helps maybe get to 40.
Get you to 30, maybe. You got the 20 and a half, of which you're going to use 16. So now you need another 14, 15, I suppose. But at some point, aren't the people now? Texas is desperate. They are desperate. So they will spend until they do it. But let's just say they won it this year and they pull the Ohio State and they buy a championship. Okay, so you bought a championship.
Now, let me back-to-back years that would have happened.
Right. Well, at some point with that donor base from the Texas One Fund, say, all right, I saw it. That was cool. If you go on the roller coaster 3 times in a row, it loses its luster a little bit. The
problem is there's a lot of those guys who'll take turns. They have more.
There's a lot of Sams.
Yeah, Texas is taking advantage of the system currently. Nothing wrong with it. Just the way that Florida did, just the way that the Lightning did, just the way that the Las Vegas Knights have, where, you put a guy on injured reserve, he misses the final 2 months of the season.
Dates back to Chicago in 2015.
Doesn't count to the salary. Yeah. I mean, it happens. It's legal. It's a loophole in the rules. And now everybody does it in the NHL in the same way that we did it. It's a smart move if you can get away with it. NHL should probably close the loophole, but they haven't. And so until they do, everybody's going to do it. And that's true with what's going on in college football right now is allegedly this is the Sam Bradford year. This is it. This is the one time. This is the last of the years where there's no rookie salary cap. So Sam Bradford was the last guy under the old rules. And you don't think he sits around by his sizable pool outside of his sizable mansion and thinks, how lucky did I get to come out of school at the exact right time, the last time that a rookie quarterback could get $100 million, $150 million.
And he got a second contract because he used his one good year in the NFL when it was a walk year. So he got paid a second time.
Yes. Exorbitant fees.
Great timing. That
unbelievable
is Sam Bradford's
timing.
Life.
Yes. So they're taking advantage of the Texas is taking advantage of the Sam Bradford year, as I call it, before the salary floor is implemented. I won't call it a cap. It'll be a salary floor. But it's interesting because this is what's debated. You have a lot of people who are like, no, this is going to be closely monitored. There'll be a cap. Everybody may have the equal same amount to spend. Nonsense. The rest will be made up for with all of these other ways around it. I don't think it's going to be as constricting as maybe our athletic director thinks it's going to be. We're going to need these NIL collectives to raise above and beyond the $22 million or whatever it is that all the teams will have to pay for the floor of their football program.
That's the question of everything here is the enforceability on different levels. I mean, you've got enforceability of NIL collective contracts, enforceability of eligibility restrictions. I mean, everything is being attacked right now in the legal system. Enforceability of a JUCO kid only getting a certain amount of years versus a kid that was not in junior college or Division II. Unlimited transfers right now. Will Arkansas be able to get the money back that Nico's brother just cashed?
Man, I would kneecap that family if I didn't get my money back. What are we talking about? You cashed a 6-figure check, bitch. You're gonna pay that money back,
right? If Sam, who's no doubt his nickname or his middle name is Houston, right? Samuel Houston Wentworth,
named after the great Sam.
Right.
Houston,
I mean, everybody's named Sam, and Texas' middle name is Houston.
Yeah.
So if that dude owns a tech company in Austin or he owns a car lot in Dallas, and he decides that he wants the quarterback to make $1 million off the car lot, enforceability. If Deloitte says no, is that enforceable for them to say no? All of this is going to be under attack until there is some sort of collective bargaining.
And nobody's running the sport, so we'll see. That's why you have to continue to try to conjure up the funds to compete even a little bit. You can know you're not going to be able to compete alongside Ohio State and Texas. This gets back to the larger point that the longer this goes on, the worse this is for the sport. Fandom of the sport will wane. It will become all the more apparent. You could argue it was always this way, but it will become all the more apparent that there are about 7 teams that can compete for national titles, and you'll stop watching. You will not care because the fan is now being asked to fit the bill.
Yeah, 100%. 3 different ways.
And that'll stop. They'll say, what's the point? What's the point?
Well, yeah, what are all the ways that people can give right now? You got the boosters, the coaches club. You got the Battle's End. This is in no particular order, Ingram. And what's the new one? The one that Mike launched, and, he's siphoning off a little bit of money that he can make right back as long as they do the basic things. It was the Success Fund or something like that. The Balance Society,
whatever.
And, yeah, the Garnet Room and the Gold Club. And,
the Garnet Room. Hey, listen, let's have a good time this weekend, guys. I paid for access to the Garnet Room.
That's right.
Now, listen, what we do this weekend in Tallahassee stays here. We got access to the Garnet Room, boys.
Then there are
Go Knowles, you know what I'm saying?
Then there are founder suites and the regular suites.
Oh my goodness,
the Capuno suites and the champions. I mean, there's a lot of different ways, and they're all fan taxes to a degree. Some of them you get a return on your investment immediately, like a suite. Give a lot of money. Look at this, the amenities that you get. But, there's going to be a talent fees on tickets before long.
Boys, week 5. Who loves you? I paid for the Garnet Room. All right, better settle down. How you going to tell your wives? Hey, babe, it's week 5 that I'm going up with Mark and Keith. We had talked about the game. Who are you playing? That's I believe that's the Virginia week. Okay, well, have fun with that. I don't want to go this year. That's great. Okay. I'm good, boys. I am good. The missus doesn't want to come. This is a good week for the Garnet Room indeed. Talk to Kyle. See if he can get it. Just saying. Good job, John. Click.
I've always thought that with the Garnet Room, you actually get something out of it. There's a lot of these things I give. What do I get out of it? The Garnet Room, at least, get something out of it.
The Garnet Room's in the airport. The gold is on campus.
That's right. The Garnet Room is in one of those pavilions down the security hallway that always gets changed out every couple of years.
Oh,
and
man.
It just says Garnet Room, and it's a door, and there's somebody standing outside of it.
Yeah.
And you hear...
And then you're like, and they stop you immediately because you don't look like the part. And you're like, oh, no, Buster. Garnet Room pass right here.
Is that bass music in there?
Like, come on in, gentlemen. That's right. Should be a great weekend. Yeah.
The password is Unconquered 99.
Florida State, in order to compete with Texas, is going to need to do this kind of nastiness. We're going to have to be like
the Garnet Room.
Yeah. I paid for the Garnet Room this weekend. Oh, God bless you. I could get us in so much trouble going down that path. Jeff Cameron, Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Ain't nothing but a G-Pod, baby.
I am 99% sure that is not how the lyrics go.
Well, you like remixes, right?
Of course.
Well, think of this as a Grassroots Coffee remix per se, because Grassroots Coffee is now in the single-serve coffee pod game.
Dude, those single-serve coffee pods and cups are weak sauce.
Not Grassroots Coffee G-Pods. They have more coffee in them than regular single-serve pods and cups.
Seriously?
And not only do they have more coffee, they have a built-in filter for better brewing. They fit in most Keurig machines, and they are fully compostable.
It's still the small batch, slow roasted coffee you love, so go to grassrootscoffee.com and get your box of G-Pods today.
Baby.
See? Remix!
Well, actually, that's more of an homage.
Grassroots Coffee, locally owned, locally roasted, and made for everyone, loved everywhere.
Grassroots Coffee G-Pods. So very good.
No matter how busy life gets, your home is the place where your family and friends show you they care and celebrate with you. That's why the professionals at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning always make sure your home is comfortable. Just like those who matter to you most, Barano will always be there for you.
This is Tyler from Barano Heating and Air. Now you can schedule an appointment, purchase or renew your service agreement, or pay your bill from your mobile device. Any day, anytime, anywhere. When you turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license number CAC 1816186.
Porterman, you're walking crooked again. What happened to you?
Well, I was sitting at the boat ramp sipping on a margarita when my alligator Hank decided we needed to go water skiing.
Oh, no.
Next thing you know, Hank's strapped to 4 skis and I'm hanging on his back and the boat is pulling us out. It was all going great till Hank spotted a duck in the lily pads and wanted to jump the wake.
Porterman, you're crazy. No wonder you got hurt.
Yep, 1 second it's air, water, air, then bam, now I can't even bend over to put on my own water skis.
Well, Porterman, you better get over to Thin Chiropractic right now. You can book an appointment online and take advantage of the new patient special.
Special offer online? That's easier than wrestling an airboat off a sandbar.
That's right. Just go to thinchiro.com. FENNCHIRO.com. FENNCHIRO.com.
That's it. I'm headed over there boogity boogity to get straightened out.
Games for Less, Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used games, as well as new and used consoles like Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Atari 2600, PS4, and PS5. You name it. Locally owned and operated since 1994, trade-ins are not only welcome, but Games for Less pays more for your trade-ins than the big chain stores. That's not all. Games for Less now buys and sells new and used vinyl records to boot. George loves the Beatles, by the way. Reserve all the new releases today at Games for Less, conveniently located in the Walmart Supercenter Plaza on Appalachian Parkway. Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
I would say that tomorrow night's baseball game can't get here soon enough. Really pumped for Florida State Clemson. I know all eyes, obviously, right now are not on baseball. They're on this portal and who we're bringing in and what we're trying to compete with and who we're not getting as well. But, man, that's going to be a fun series. College baseball, when you get two elite teams or two teams that are very, very good, coming off of stinging losses, rivals, high-level talent, it can be as enjoyable as anything you're going to take in. So we got it right here in our backyard, which should be I think the one day it's going to rain, so we got to be careful there, but everything else is going to be beautiful.
Oh, yeah, Sunday?
Yeah.
Sunday might be a bit of an issue. But, yes, it's 6 p.m. first pitch tomorrow and Saturday because the ACC Network picked up the Saturday game. So usually it goes like 6-2 noon or 6-2-1, but this time around you get primetime games back-to-back days.
It's a beautiful thing, Tom.
It is. That should be a hostile atmosphere in a good way for us.
Yeah. I hope that, lately that atmosphere has been as good as there is in college baseball. I mean, again, for as much as I complain about the facility itself, it is, the fans come out, they're knowledgeable, they're loud at the right times, they get the game, and there's good players, so it should be a fun game. Really, really good game. If you had Rico Hoey today at the CJ Cup, Byron Nelson, you and Hoey are loving life. He shot a 63. Now, the good news is I had Valimaki, and Valimaki is currently tied for 7th at 500. Go get him, Valimaki.
All right.
Didn't cost me much in my draft.
Good field.
Cam Champ is in second. Steven Yeager, one of my favorites, was drafted just before my Valimaki. I was angry at the gentleman who did it.
Good job for Cam Champ. He was, I saw an alternate. Somebody withdrew yesterday, and Cam Champ drew into the field. So
jumped on in.
There you go. Making the most of it.
Kitayama's in this field. Ryan Fox is in this field, Tom. Don't you spit on this field.
Oh,
Davis Riley kicking ass.
Dear God.
Mullinax, Hoffman.
So we've got ourselves a high-level Corn Ferry event going on.
Harry Higgs.
Is he?
Byung Hun On, your truly second pick. Moving on up the leaderboard as we speak.
Ooh. Well, seems like CBS won't get many ratings this weekend.
Ches Reavie is there.
Where's my man? You know where? Come
Eric
on now.
Cole, Sam Ryder.
Oh, no. He's nowhere to be heard of.
Jesper Svensson. Joel Damon is there. It's Joel Damon season. Cristobal de Soler is there.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Solar.
Who are you looking for?
Mr. Hostler.
Oh, Bo.
Bo Hostler.
I thought Bo was off the tour.
Is he?
Did he keep his card?
I don't
Bo
know.
Hostler
I think Bo
his card?
He'll always be on the tour.
Bo.
FedEx Cup 99.
In perpetuity.
He wears 99 like Gretzky for FedEx Cup ranking.
I don't see Bo Hostler on the list.
No.
Nate Lashley's there.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Found him. He tees off at 217.
See?
Bo Hostler and Lanto Griffin teeing off together, buddy.
67 incoming for Bo.
Along with Ben Coles. Camilo Villegas getting set to tee off.
Good Lord. Where is this? It's the Byron Nelson, right? So it's Texas?
It's the CJ Cup, the Byron Nelson, buddy. It's at Craig Ranch.
Craig Ranch. Okay.
It's TPC Craig Ranch.
All right.
I bet our own Matt Lucero, who's going to join us later in the show, has played this course. McKinney, Texas.
I think he could finish 50th in this event, probably.
I bet on the event. It's important to me. I've got some top 20s, some top 10s, some top 5s. I've got an outright. I've got it's PGA Tour, Tom.
Why does it feel like our roster is the Byron Nelson of
It does feel like it. Florida State's roster feels a little bit CJ Cuppy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's okay. People like me will watch an 8-4 team or the CJ Cup. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're going to tune in.
In this case,
we're going to get by.
Well. Yeah.
I'd rather our roster look a lot like the field at the Masters, but that takes Texas money. $40+ million if you want John Rahm and, Justin Thomas and the crew to be there, Rory McIlroy.
It would be perfect, though, if they had some 50-year-old player, like some 50-year-old long snapper that could be the Bernhard Longer of their field.
Still out here getting it, guys. Right. Still out here getting it. When is it? You'll have to forgive me here. The portal window, we knew that the time to announce has come and gone. That window is now closed. You could not announce any longer. But when does it close in terms of when you can get people? It's just in perpetuity?
Yeah.
Like 7 weeks from now, a kid wakes up and says, I decided I want to go to Memphis.
In theory, sure. It's just about enrollment periods, making sure you get enrolled by whatever summer session that you need. Like, you could, in theory, if you were a kid who was a hotshot, you could hold out until the beginning of fall semester if you didn't want to go work out in the summers, I suppose. That's probably something that'll happen next year. But, yeah, it's just about enrollment deadlines. There is no you must make your decision by window. It's just about getting in there.
Yeah, the number is, like, we keep getting asked this question. What's the number? How many kids are they going to go for? And, look, I don't think they're putting a cap on it. If they think a kid can help them, they're going to try to bring him in.
Yeah, and it tells you
that they don't like the roster.
Well, it tells you that they're taking that approach because they're attacking it two ways. I mean, I think if they could find a 20-25 starter, they would do it right now. And they're already finding, in theory, 2027 players that they're trying to fill the roster with. So, yeah, I think they're taking players on all fronts. And they've got upwards of a handful of visitors between now and the end of the weekend.
I always talk about it being the second bite of the apple. That is the one thing when you suck at recruiting the way that we suck at recruiting and you whiff on the kids out of high school. The good news is all is not lost. They may go somewhere and find that they're unhappy and you get a second bite of the apple. You get to reach back in there and say, well, what about now? I know we failed to convince you coming out of high school. You've had a chance to go and see the world. What about now?
You've seen your program. Yeah. You've seen what we turned in 2024. I would imagine the allure is greater now after what you saw last fall out of us. That is if you value immediate playing time.
You're right. Don't you see the availability in abundance here? That's what 2 and 10 tells you. You could have made the difference.
Remember, I sat in your living room with you and your parents, and I told you that 2024 was going to be special, and you need to tune in and watch it. And it was. It was just that, special.
Seems minutes later when the door closed as I went to my vehicle, you picked up the phone and went to Rutgers. But now I'm giving you a second chance, young man, a new lease on life to reconsider that choice. The nights were not all it was cracked up to be now, was it?
You telling me this is going to be a long 3 months? This is what we're doing on May 1st?
No, damn it, man. It's so very frustrating. It's impossible not to make fun of it a little bit.
Isn't this where access to spring camp would have helped? We would have at least been able to talk about bogs.
I don't, maybe, but I think they had so many guys banged up during these scrimmages, and they, including the one I went to, and you just really couldn't get a sense. We can speculate with the best of them about what this. I will say this: I was talking to somebody else knowledgeable of the program, Florida State guy, and we were it was a little bit of an airing of the grievances in private about some of the situations that we're more than frustrated about.
There's nothing to complain about. Stop it.
And yet, because it was just two Noles talking it out. We did get into some of the more positive aspects and some of the shifts in what they're doing over there. And as we were talking about it, the individual said, look, I know you're forlorn. I get you're upset because the bar is so low right now, and it's not a bar that's acceptable for Noles everywhere. You know, it's not okay to aspire to 8-4. It's not going to sit well. But to that end and that reality, his point was 8-4 seems doable. Seems very doable. As the roster is currently constructed, it doesn't seem all that far-fetched to go 8-4. And if you put it in context off of 2-10, you would take 8-4 and say, okay, we got back on the track. We were on a path towards flying off the track. Well, we did fly off the track, but now the wheels are at least centered. We're on the track. We're not in the infield. We haven't flown over the wall. We're on the track.
Well, and we could say in the last two odd-numbered seasons at Florida State, we won 20 games in the regular season. I mean, that's an average
Get
of 10
ready
a
for
year.
some ass kicking, everybody.
There you go.
Yeah. I do circle back. I haven't asked you. We were asked this question on headlines. I like the question. I've answered it. I like to have the conversation. We'll do it next. Would you rather win the Alabama game or the Clemson game? You can only win one. You're guaranteed to lose the other. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Cloudy skies this afternoon with highs around 85. South winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies with fog in spots tonight. Lows level off around 64. A mix of clouds and sun with fog at times early tomorrow. Highs level off around 88. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 83.
All right, let's talk. If your grill wobbles when you flip a burger or it needs a good kick just to light it, it's time for a serious upgrade. That's where Hearth and Patio in Tallahassee comes in. They've got gas grills, charcoal grills, smokers, even the fancy ones that make you look like you actually know what you're doing. Whether you're a weekend warrior or a full-blown backyard pitmaster, Hearth and Patio's team will help you find the perfect setup. They actually know grills, like they can tell you which one makes the ribs taste the best. And trust me, there's no better feeling than serving up a plate of those perfectly grilled, amazing ribs while your neighbor stares over the fence with pure jealousy. So stop flipping burgers on that rusted-out dinosaur and call Hearth and Patio today, 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282 or online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Your steaks, your burgers, and honestly, your whole neighborhood will thank you. Hearth and Patio, where your grilling dreams come true.
I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
Do you have spring fever? Your only prescription is the Lawn Johns. Hi, it's Mark from the Lawn Johns. We can make your landscape more appealing by providing you with award-winning lawn care. With 4 levels of service, the Lawn Johns offers you more choices than the rest. More flowers, more mulch, or more pine straw all means that your home or office will be more beautiful than ever. So if you've got spring fever, go to thelawnjohns.com or just look for our big purple truck.
I gotta have more cowbell.
There is no Bigfoot, Eddie. Would you stop with that nonsense?
There's a Bigfoot, Jeff.
I wish there were. By the way, I don't want you to point to me as the guy that takes all the fun out of the room. I wish there was the Loch Ness Monster. I wish there was the Bigfoot. I wish there was the Chupacabra. All the things.
They're all mythical except for the Bigfoot. The Sasquatch.
The Bigfoot?
The Bigfoot. There's big feet. There's lots of them.
So like different, breeds, like different kinds.
There's like families. There's different families. And,
so there's if they're in the snow, you call them a Sasquatch
or the Yeti, right?
Yep,
and then
Yeti.
Here in Florida, that's a skunk ape. And but
never heard that one. By the way, why do you think it's real? We would have found them by now.
They're the hide and seek champions of the world. Nobody finds the Bigfoot.
I think you believe in Bigfoot.
I do believe in Bigfoot.
You don't believe.
I believe in Bigfoot.
Don't tell anybody you believe in Bigfoot.
I would go look for Bigfoot, but he scares me.
Gordo's bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Before we get to Florida State, whether or not it's Alabama or Clemson, you said, do you go flying over the wall, over the Clemente Wall in Pittsburgh?
I kind of wish I didn't see the video, but yeah, I sure did.
I'm going to talk about it in the bonus hour because I already did probables for the bonus hour, and I talked about it, and I tried to be respectful while also positing a theory. I've watched that video like the Zapruder film. I've broken it down, Tom.
Oh, man. This is the least surprising thing I've heard today, is that you watched a film of
somebody falling, yeah.
horrific happening like it's the Zapruder film.
I didn't cause it, but it happened, so I watched it. And here's the I'll tell you. I think he jumped. I'm looking at that video like, what in the – he looks propelled. And I don't see anybody pushing him. It's weird. It's very weird, Tom. We're going to have to – this investigation.
We're going to have to.
We're going to do this like the Gene Hackman thing. We're getting into this. Something's up here.
I think that's the royal we're going to have to.
I'm not saying that he committed suicide or attempted it because he's still alive, thankfully. But it's bizarre. It doesn't look – when you see people fall, you're like, oh, poor bastard lost his balance, went over the rail or slipped down the steps or whatever. You can see clearly the person fell. The internet's filled with people falling. And you can always tell when you're like, oh, that's hilarious. Look at that poor woman. She was holding 2 beers, fell down the steps at the baseball game. I just had that video pop up on my feed the other day. It's the best. It's a spring training game. She's behind home plate. They're showing you the pitcher's getting ready to throw. And this woman's got 2 beers in her hand, and she misnavigates the steps. And out she goes, hits her face on the side of the chairs. It's the best. But anyhow, it's awesome.
That is awesome.
And to her credit, the beer goes flying all over her, and she hits her face, and she just sits there and does what we all would, which is like, really?
Sip the beer with the remaining beer?
Oh, yeah. I would have pounded that beer. I mean, oh, my goodness. But it's awesome. She's a good sport about it. She kind of gathers herself. She just sits there for a moment. All these people are looking at her. She's like, okay, all right, that happens.
There is, a sentence that troubles all of us, I think, if we're being honest with ourselves, is I missed a step.
Oh, man.
There's nothing more lonely, panic-ridden than missing a step.
It slows the world down.
It really does.
You're like, it's a misstep. We got a problem.
Maybe that's what Boston College Monday night was last year, that facial expression.
Missing the step?
I missed a step.
The only time I've ever busted ass on the stairs at any point in my life, I was running up the steps.
Yep. I
have busted ass running up steps. I've never busted ass running down steps.
This is a story we've shared. It's the same set of stairs between Diffenbaugh and Williams.
Yes, those same stairs, yes.
Yeah, on the main level, where the hot dog cart used to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I got toe picked with the flip-flops.
I just was kind of uncoordinated and got my toe cut for no reason, just sprinting up the steps like an ass.
It's late to speech class.
Yeah.
And it was the flip-flops. They just a little bit too much room above the toes, and it just caught the front step, and it was spectacular. It was one of these.
Oh, yeah, one of the classic.
It's
the best. When you witness it, it's the funniest thing you've ever seen. Both people going up and down steps falling, as long as they don't break their neck and get seriously hurt, it's hilarious.
Yes, and you give people permission. I turned around, I said, you can laugh, I'm fine.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, thank God, because there's a concern.
Yeah, they don't want you to hurt, but they're like, that's also really funny. If he's okay, that's funny.
They're the Starburst guy. They're just kind of looking. Can I laugh?
Yeah. You
can laugh. We're good.
I actually instantly laugh and then try to gather. My problem is I laugh immediately. You could be dead and I'm laughing, and it's going to take me a second to compose myself if there's been a disastrous result. Because when I see arms flailing, books flying, a lack of control, I'm like, that's too good. That's just really good.
So it happened to a lady at Hartsfield Airport last year when I was on my way down on one of my many trips, because that tram is aggressive. The tram at Hartsfield.
Yeah.
She did not know that it was aggressive. She didn't grab a handrail, nothing. It was her and her husband standing in the middle of the tram, holding onto their suitcases, which are not going to be stable. And she went, oh my God. And her hands went up in the air and she went down in a heap.
All right, let's answer the question. I just floated a theory out there. I think that guy in Pittsburgh fell out of the bleachers there over the Clemente wall. My man, I think was it's a weird launching looking thing. Maybe he had flip-flops and he slipped out of it, and we're gonna have to find out.
He looked like a crash dummy, or like something the Naked Gun would throw out there in lieu of a person. You're like, that's hilarious.
Oh man, it's brutal. All right, so here we go. This got brought up in fairness, on headlines, and we answered the question. And I loved it because I thought, well, man, sometimes there are things that are crossover that are fair for other shows, this one included, of course. And I felt like this is a discussion you and I should have. To me, it was so obvious, but it was kind of bantied about by people in the chat that day and also by Ira and Corey. And I think it's obvious. It's the Bama game.
We agree. I was wondering when you said it like that. Are you going to go to Clemson? Or
no, it's the Bama game.
Yeah,
you went 2-10 last year. You need a shot in the arm in the worst way, and what it does for you is give you a chance, if you look at it this way, to maybe believe that you'll go later on and win the Clemson game. By the time you play Clemson, there will have been a lot of water under the bridge that'll tell you one way or the other what you are. How about some of that information being overwhelmingly positive in the first game of the year with the nation watching? Tell me what that does for the collective conscience and confidence of a program that is face down in the muck. I mean, this would be one of the biggest wins for Florida State in some time. Bigger than the LSU wins, believe it or not, because we hadn't gone 2-10. We hadn't experienced the lowest of lows. We hadn't been snubbed yet. We hadn't had all those things happen. The doubt in this fan base that they currently feel about Mike Norvell and everything surrounding this program, its status, its place, the big picture of Florida of college football, all of it is immediately rectified, if only temporarily, with a win over Alabama.
Okay.
You disagree?
No, I don't. No, I didn't know. Okay, I'm ready now. Yeah, I think this one's a no-brainer for a lot of reasons. A couple of which, we would need to cash in on, but recruiting momentum would be massive.
Yes.
What it means to the fan base who just spent a ton of money in the executive side now. We can call it not the alumni side anymore. Should be called the executive side of the stadium. You got to be able to fortify all of that investment with an immediate return. And so if you could guarantee me that one of those two games was going to be a win, would I rather it be the roadie at Clemson or the home game against Alabama? The value of winning a marquee home game against an SEC brand coming off of 2-10, there isn't something that it doesn't touch in terms of positive ramifications. It touches booster donations, collective donations, faith in the program and the head coach, approval rating for the head coach, season ticket sales, merchandise sales, ratings, interest in enrollment for the university, I think would see a nice little bump if you beat Alabama on national television in the first week of the season. The coverage you get as a program next year, all of the things in the machine that get things going in a positive way are touched by a victory over Alabama. I think the Clemson game, while a monumental win and an important one for the hierarchy of the ACC and what it would signal, it would not be an insignificant win, but it gets lost in the wash of the season. The newness of it also has a humongous impact. It's just, there is no question in my mind that it would be Alabama because it benefits so much more of the program than a Clemson win would next year.
And even despite the successes of Georgia and the dominance that the Dogs have presented over the last several years, I would maintain that the greater cachet and overall royalty out of the SEC is unquestionably still Alabama football. It is the be-all, end-all of the SEC. It is Alabama. It ain't nobody else. Georgia's better right now, but it's Alabama, both for Bear Bryant and the history of the program, but the sustained success and dominance by Nick Saban means that cachet doesn't wear off anytime soon. In fact, Alabama's so good, and I hate saying this, Alabama's so good and so preeminent within the sport that when they lose 3 games, we view them to be an abject failure of a program. Like we think, oh my God, look at the hard times Alabama has fallen on. They lost a couple of SEC games this year. They lost a road game at night in Norman, Oklahoma. Clutch your pearls.
Right.
Like we think it's like the worst thing in the world because that's just not to the Alabama standard. You beat Alabama in almost all at once, even unfairly, even irrationally, it almost announces that you are back and that last year was a crazy, weird hiccup that was hopefully, and you can find a way to spin it very easily if you parlayed an Alabama win into some more wins. What ends up happening is that people then begin the narrative for you that you were the victim of the snub and a psychological crash, the likes of which had never been seen because it was unprecedented. But now look at you, back on your feet. You just beat the pearl of college football in Alabama.
The program that they carried over the finish line 2 years ago. Sure, you could play that PR game.
And I would do it. I would write that story.
Well, it's just also from a brand perception. Look, a win over Clemson is an echo chamber victory in the second level in AAA baseball. That's the way that the nation looks at a Florida State win over Clemson. It's just the ACC. It's not Power 2. The value over beating a Power 2. I mean, look, that's where we're operating right now. We're not in the Power 2. We aim to be in short order. A win over them head-to-head would announce, especially maybe to some decision makers at either networks or in that, conference setup. Oh, God. So they just suffered their worst season in history relative to expectations, and they have the capability of immediately bouncing back and beating a preeminent SEC program. Yeah, we want them. Yeah. We'll take them.
But remember, by the way, Lerone, what I'm saying is that it's perceptional. You're right. There are question marks about Alabama. We don't know if DeBoer is going to be the one. And I know we got to go to break. But what I'm saying is perceptionally, this would be massive for Florida State.
It no matter what happens, reality.
Right.
There's a lot of week 1 games that don't mean diddly.
Absolutely. Hour number 2, forthcoming. Stay with.
The best happy hour in the city is at Café de Martín and El Bar. All day, every day, you can find great deals at Café de Martín while enjoying the best outdoor seating Tallahassee has to offer. Sip away on 2-for-1 house wines, chilcanos, and margaritas all day long, Monday through Thursday. Plus 2-for-1 pisco sours and margaritas on Fridays and Saturdays, and 2-for-1 mimosas for Sunday brunch. Come join us at Café de Martín, where every hour is happy hour, in the Esposito Shopping Center on Capitol Circle Northeast.
Enterprises, roofing and construction services. Construction.com. We conquer all peaks. We fix those dumb leaks. Call 850-766-134. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark. T-Spark.com.
CCC 1331204.
Whidden Glass has been taking care of business since 1945. When you call Whidden Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Like Whidden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures that provide style and luxury at an affordable price. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Whidden Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. Whidden Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
This is a special notice to all U.S. taxpayers with back taxes to the IRS. Billions in tax relief is now being made available to struggling taxpayers, giving thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars in savings away to those who qualify. If you're facing wage garnishment, threatening letters, audits, liens, levies, or already in a payment plan, you can now expedite the resolution to your tax problem, end collections, and even qualify to reduce a large portion of what you owe. Stop IRS Debt has established a relief hotline for you to call to check what savings and options you qualify for. Dial 800-750-4198. With many people facing job loss and rising cost of living, these special IRS initiatives are designed to aid delinquent taxpayers with the relief that they need to get a fresh start. For a free consultation to see what savings you qualify for, call 800-750-4198. 800-750-4198. 800-750-4198.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results vary. Consult with your tax professional prior to enrollment.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. See the Corner Pocket.
WVFT, Present Tallahassee.
Your sports flash update on Real Talk 93.3 in Tallahassee.
The Jacksonville Jaguars are not going to exercise the fifth-year option on linebacker Devin Lloyd. Earlier this month, head coach Liam Cohen said it was something that they were still considering. However, an ESPN report does indicate that they are not going to exercise it. That means he is going to be a free agent after the upcoming season. In baseball, Tampa Bay Rays lose to the Kansas City Royals yesterday 3-0 as Royals left-hander Noah Cameron took a no-hitter into the seventh inning in what was his major league debut. The series does continue today. Shane Baz on the mound. He comes in with a 3-0 record. The Miami Marlins, they lose to the Dodgers yesterday by a 12-7 score. Marlins off today. Tomorrow they begin the series against the A's. This Sports Flash is presented by Progressive. Bundle auto and home, renters, or condo insurance and save with Progressive. I'm Matt Pauley on Real Talk 93.3.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue.
Footwear is sold. Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
On the front lines, fighting the insanity of the woke, it's Matt and Brett Foster with America
It's
in
now
View.
that time of year where you're trading in those golf pants for the shorts because you need breathability. There's a lot of sweating that's going to be going on over the next 5 to 6 months of your life if you live where we do in Tallahassee or anywhere in the southeastern footprint on Warchant TV and the Warchant Podcast Network. Well, Bird Dogs to the rescue because they combine comfort, fit, versatility. You can wear these shorts everywhere. Here's 2 pairs that have been sent my way from our friends at Bird Dogs. Excellent blue color. You can see the built-in liner there. So it's a 2-for-1 here. You don't have to worry about 2 pieces of clothing. You can just use the liner that Bird Dogs has. Outstanding breathability. It's stretch fit. It's super light. These things are going to save your bacon if you're outdoors this spring and summer, be it on the golf course, you're going to happy hour, but your friend is insistent on sitting outside to go get that glass of wine or that cocktail. All right, if you were wearing those old khaki shorts or those old stiff cargo shorts from yesteryear, you were going to be sweating, and that was going to be a problem. Now, breathability, baby. This is exactly what you want, and it's from our friends at Bird Dogs. For a limited time for our listeners and viewers, you get a free hat when you order with code WAKEUP at birddogs.com. You get this hat right here on the screen completely free when you use code WAKEUP at birddogs.com. Support our network and let them know we sent you. Again, one more time, for a limited time, listeners get a free hat with any order when you use code WAKEUP at birddogs.com. You get this hat on the screen completely free when you use code WAKEUP at birddogs.com.
And listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
of the actual games to choose from. The next big to-do, Tom, of course, because the NFL rules the world, is a schedule release, right?
That's correct. They announced it on stage during the draft. They did a combo NFL Network and ESPN little. It was almost like one of the rollouts that Microsoft used to do back in the day, where you get on stage, you hype up the crowd, then you point at the screen, and that's coming in a couple of weeks.
I just kind of find it funny that that's how ruled by the NFL we are.
Well, look,
a freaking schedule release.
Yeah, and you're going to get on stage at the draft and dance around about it. But look, Colleen Wolfe can introduce anything for any network at any point, and I will at least see what they're talking about.
As somebody who has a son, I took interest in the DC of the Atlanta Falcons having to take to the podium Jeff Ulbrich and apologize over the prank call to Shedeur Sanders. Which you've seen, right? You've seen the prank call. I come from a weird place. It's my era. Prank calls were all the rage in the 80s and early 90s. You can't really do prank calls anymore. That's why it was refreshing to see one. It is rare to see a real prank call anymore.
Yep.
Back in the day, everybody had a house phone. You just needed the access to that number. You were good to go.
I appreciate it like you do because I was raised by
the Jerky Boys.
The Jerky Boys,
of
That's
course.
Right. Older siblings who love that stuff. I remember visiting Osceola Hall, the one that just got knocked down over there on Chapel, and I was there. These artists, I would go visit my sister.
Really
We'd go
good at it. Yeah.
The whole rule was you come in, but you can't laugh.
Oh man,
put a pillow over your face if you're gonna laugh.
I think it was called the Musacha tapes. You can find that somewhere. It preceded the Jerky Boys, and it was unbelievable. There's a guy in New York City calling a Japanese restaurant, and it's one of the funniest things I've ever heard in my life. It's wildly inappropriate, but it's incredible. But yes. And I was like, man, I haven't seen a prank call in forever, but I'm less interested. Listen, it sucks. There's no way anybody should ever get the access to these kids or these guys' phones. It made me chuckle, but I thought about it as a dad. I thought of two things. I thought, man, what's the punishment if you're the organization? Because you really did screw up. That's confidential information that your kid readily had access to. It's a private phone number that's sitting up on your laptop and your iPad.
It's something that every organization across all sports will have to go over now is confidentiality and how to hide it from your own families. This guy just wasted 15 minutes of everybody's life in sports. Moving forward, every year, you're going to have to go through this about how to hide it from your family.
I think I am very rational, calm, and measured, believe it or not, when it comes to the way that I father my children. Like the way that I enforce discipline or any of the other things. I'm remarkably calm in that aspect of my life compared to many other aspects of my life, right? And I don't know why that is. I just, maybe my father modeled great behavior. There's no toxicity to that. There's a calm, measured, stern, and there are consequences for actions, and there are rules, and there are things that you will get in trouble for in my house. But I don't flip out the way people probably think that I would. I don't lose it. Every now and then, I certainly raise my voice occasionally. There's no doubt about that. There might be an exalt of some kind in which I say just a curse word and then I gather and then the conversation occurs.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen some heat of the moment stuff, and it's not quite the same or even in the ballpark of when we were in traffic.
Right.
Along
nothing close.
Very
right?
different.
No,
Very
I
different.
know that it's much more important that I get that part right. Doesn't matter what I scream in traffic. It matters what I say to my children and how I say it. So I say all of that to say this, not to pat myself on the back. That's a fact. I'm pretty measured with all these things. I look at it pretty rationally. It takes me a moment sometimes. Sometimes I won't even say anything initially because I need to go outside and think about what I want to say because my knee-jerk reaction is we're going to have a problem. But what do you do if you're this guy and that's your son? He just not only did he just wasted everybody's time in the league and it's embarrassing and it's all the things. That dude's got to cut a check for $100,000. He was fined. Jeff Ulbrich was fined by the Falcons $100,000 for his son's prank.
I didn't know that. Did that just come down today?
Yesterday.
Oh, my God.
The league fined the Falcons $250,000. Your son if you're Jeff Ulbrich, just cost your organization, so your employer, and then your personal bank account, $100,000 and $250,000 respectively. Woo! See, I again think that I'm pretty calm when it comes to meting out discipline. You do something that cost me $100,000.
Well, and look, as much as I'm an admirer of prank calls, that one's way out of bounds. Totally.
It's
you
cruel.
Can't do it.
It's cruel.
You
Yeah,
cannot do it.
I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it's cruel.
No,
it's cruel. No, it's wrong, and you'd have to discipline him.
It's not the same as check your refrigerators and running.
No, it's not that. So he had to get up there and do the whole press thing, and I can't imagine what that. I watched it because I was curious. Quote, my actions of not protecting confidential data, inexcusable. My son's actions were absolutely inexcusable. And for that, we're both deeply sorry. I don't think he is. I think you are. I don't think he is. Maybe he is. Holy moly. You know, the thing about the kid who did it, and he's not a kid, he's 21, so you know better at 21. You're not 16. At 16, 15, 14, I might have been like, well, you know, kids, they learn tough lessons. 21, you're a grown-up. That's a tough one to justify, my man. 21. That car gets washed every Wednesday from here until I decide it doesn't. Like, there's no, it's $100,000.
Yeah, I think you've got to find a way. You could almost make it fun and just be like, all right, here's the equivalent of what a deed equals in dollars, and we are going to keep very good track.
Meticulous records.
Until you get to $100,000 of services rendered and or cash repaid to me for this ridiculousness. Or it could be, son, I split this responsibility with you, even though I shouldn't. I did leave confidential information open to your idiot ass, and you decided to take it and run with it. So that's 50-50 our fault. You're going to pay me back $50,000 in deeds and money over the next however many years it takes.
He found it on his iPad. His dad got up to go to the bathroom, and he found it on his iPad. You ass blank. I mean, come on, dude. I'm setting my thing down. I'm going through our draft board. I'm looking at people we're looking at, and you come in there and find these numbers. He wasn't the only one. They called the tight end, I think, from Penn State as well.
Did they really?
Yeah. Like they grabbed some more. Yeah. Ulbrich said he was not aware that it happened until after the draft, and he was not happy and shocked. He said he made the Falcons aware of the situation and then immediately tried to contact Deion Sanders and his family, Shador and his father. That's a toughie.
But that's right.
Well, it's the right thing to do. He did the right thing. The steps he took subsequent to finding out that it was his kid were all the right steps. They were apologies, full stop. No, hey, no, none of that. Just, I'm sorry. I was irresponsible. It's my fault. Full stop. No, hey, because so many mealy-mouthed apologies deflect and seek to draw attention elsewhere. He got that right. And apparently, according to Deion himself, the apology was great. And Deion was like, oh, I've forgiven him. It's fine. We've moved on. So apparently he said the right things there too. But man, that's
still, kids do it because they taped it, right? So they want the credibility.
They want to be on film. Here's the whole thing. They want everything to go viral.
I think what they need to do is, if it were me, not what they need to do. I'm not recommending anything. If it were me, you want to be famous? All right, we're gonna Instagram. No, we're gonna Instagram live and go to the Browns training facility. We're gonna Instagram live you walking in there, walking into a conference room,
looking him in the eye, shaking hands with everybody
for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
For him to walk in, so you can look in his eyes and apologize, and that's gonna be streamed live on IG. That's what we're gonna do on your account.
There's your fame.
There's your fame. You got it.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to give him what he was after there, though.
No, that's shame.
Which is the tension. Yeah.
You're getting attention, and I'm going to let the comments be live. Go ahead. Rattle them off, people. Roast him.
Coming $100K.
There are so many more fun prank calls you can do, too. You could, with the *67 or maybe just a burner phone. There's this one host in London who calls 2 restaurants on separate lines to set up a takeout order, and he gives a takeout order to the first restaurant, and he says, "Hold on, my friend is going to actually pay for it, so if you can read it back to him in a second, I'm going to patch him through." "Okay, go ahead." And they read the order to the other restaurant. They're like, and they take it down. And then the 2 restaurant owners get into a fight over who's paying and what the hell are we doing here? You ordered this. No, you ordered this. That's a great prank call.
It is a great prank call. Yeah, prank calls don't exist anymore. It caught my eye. I was like, oh my goodness, this exists. This takes me back to my childhood. You probably were one of the best prank callers of all time because you can do a lot of voices. The key is to be able to do many voices. I had a guy this guy's name was Caesar. He's a hilarious, good friend of mine in middle school and high school. He could do 1 million voices, and we would call our teachers at like 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, we had a couple.
And over and over and over again.
We would start 6-7 from the cart barn to some of our the morning shift. The morning shift was the old guys.
Does that even work anymore?
I don't know.
Star 6-7 work anymore?
Yeah, they never checked the phone record because it was all local. But the morning shift in the cart barn is all the retirees. And then the afternoon shift is all the high school kids. And the retirees used to crap on us. They hated us. And so we used to prank call them. Oh, man, that was a great way to kill a couple hours.
I love that. Unbeknownst to one another, all these years later, we share a commonality, many, but one of which is that we both worked in a cart barn at a golf course with a bunch of rich old people.
That's right. And we love prank calls. We would use soundboards in my time. So the Al Pacino soundboard I'm Richard Romer.
Right.
So we looked for Richard Romers throughout the country on the national white pages on the internet. And we would call Richard Romer.
See, you had access to the internet. Internet wasn't even close to being born.
So we would call people and they pick up and we would hit the button, Richard Romer, and you would hope that somebody would bite. And the best one was this wife picked up. And she goes, "Oh, Richard, 1 second. Richard, somebody's here." Like,
yes. Here we go.
And we got him for about a minute. "You just cost me $6,000.
Loansforknowles.com. Shannon Young, interest rates, hopefully, to your liking, getting to a place. Maybe. We'll see. I don't know. But I know Shannon will work hard no matter where they're at. I know that Shannon Young can help you with your dream home and the opportunity to get the loan that you need. Nobody works harder. He is smart. He is diligent. He's now in 7 states: Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Texas, and the Carolinas. Better rates, better options, stronger support now that he's with Cross Country Mortgage. All you got to do to find out more, go to loansforknowles.com. Shannon called me recently and said that somebody did just that, and that's awesome. I love it. Keep it going. Knowles helping Knowles. Good thing. Loansforknowles.com. Hey, let me tell you about my friends at Tried and True Consulting, a Seminole-owned business that specializes in payments and business solutions. Tried and True's core expertise includes card, ACH, point of sale, mobile, e-commerce, and hosted payment solutions. Tried and True will help you reduce costs and increase your bottom line. That always sounds nice. Whether you're a retailer, restaurant, licensed professional, or service industry, Tried and True is saving you money. Tried and True's expertise extends to payroll, video menu ad boards, IT services, web design, and social media. It's time to make one call and tell the competition to take it on down the road. Call Don or Joe today at 844-464-6653. That's 844-464-6653. When you do business with Tried and True, they contribute 10% of the net revenue to the battle's end. So go Tried and True today. Call 844-464-6653.
Do you own a small business? Let me guess. You started your business so you could get bogged down with payroll and bookkeeping, office tasks, and other paperwork, right? Probably not. I'm Craig Collins with Collins Income Tax Solutions. Allow me to help you get out from behind your desk and get back to doing what you love. For any of your payroll, bookkeeping, or other business services, give me a call today and allow me to take it off your plate. You can find my contact information online at collinsincometaxsolutionsllc.com.
Ain't nothing but a G-Pod, baby.
I am 99% sure that is not how the lyrics go.
Well, you like remixes, right?
Of course.
Well, think of this as a Grassroots Coffee remix per se, because Grassroots Coffee is now in the single-serve coffee pod game.
Dude, those single-serve coffee pods and cups are weak sauce.
Not Grassroots Coffee G-Pods. They have more coffee in them than regular single-serve pods and cups.
Seriously?
And not only do they have more coffee, they have a built-in filter for better brewing. They fit in most Keurig machines, and they are fully compostable.
It's still the small batch, slow roasted coffee you love, so go to grassrootscoffee.com and get your box of G-Pods today.
Baby.
See? Remix!
Well, actually, that's more of an homage.
Grassroots Coffee, locally owned, locally roasted, and made for everyone, loved everywhere.
Grassroots Coffee G-Pods. So very good.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to Big Wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get your second month free for a limited time. You'll get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month. Here's Veronica and Jackie, real customers.
I didn't know that I could get something for a lot less money that was actually better than who I was with before.
Anytime anybody complains about their cell phone bill, we say, you've got to check out Consumer Cellular.
And now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free when they use promo code SECONDFREE. Just call, click, or bring us your bill and see how much you can save. Because when it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and use code SECONDFREE to get a free second month. Real people paid to share their opinions in this ad. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Can't believe it is already here, but it is time for you and I. Let's do a little ISF solving for the future. Let's do it right here and now while we're thinking about it with my friends at ISF. Go to ISF.com to learn more. I can tell you more about them momentarily. I'll tell you one thing that solves for the future for all of the programming needs of network streaming services, platforms of any kind. Not that you didn't already know this, read an article today that was about the future of TV ratings, and undoubtedly the biggest winner is sports yet again. Disproportionately huge from the recent expansion of Nielsen's out-of-home audience measurements. They finally found a way to quantify, Tom, all the other ways in which people consume sports or entertainment of any kind. Remember, for most of the years, including up until last year, they could not do it reliably. There was projected, there was a lot of we think. Now they can definitively say this many people were watching this platform on their iPad at this time. We know that, Jeff was watching the hockey game last night on his TV. He walked to the back, pulled up his iPad, pulled up his Hulu account, and watched the rest of it there. That's what I did. So they can track people. When you go to the bar, when you go all these different places, they're getting better and better and better at finding out exactly who's watching for how long and from what kind of device and where and all that other stuff.
Well, yeah, they changed the way that they can count bars and public places.
Mm-hmm.
And so what that did was it set up a nice place for all the PR accounts for every major network to be able to report that they're setting records because they're finally able to count those numbers. Now, eventually, we're going to stop setting records here and we're going to see the market
level out.
Remain. But yeah, the numbers keep going up.
Yeah, Nielsen received accreditation in January for its new big data plus panel measurement. That's what it's called. That's your point. It combines viewership data from, set-top boxes, I guess is what you would say, and smart TVs, which come with already built in. That's the coolest thing that's happened in the last few years. Like when you get a new television, you have everything there. Remember when you had to actually go out and download and all that other nonsense? Now you're like, no, I got Netflix on here.
Yeah, or take the Chromecast and go to your computer and cast it onto your television. Yeah.
So now they are above and beyond the usual panel-based tabulation. Each of the major broadcast networks and streaming services this spring hold their forthcoming year projections based on their knowledge of what this means and the expanding methodologies, the focal points, all these things. This year, as part of the upfronts and going forward, we pretty much know that all of our clients will be using specifically Big Data Plus panel for the upcoming television season. So that's according to the Nielsen CEO. Her name is Karthik Rao. Cool name.
Okay. Yeah.
Sound like a badass.
Sounds like a villain in a Star Trek movie.
Yeah. Karthik Rao. Oh, no.
Hello, Captain.
Sports programming, just if you're curious, produced bigger totals than it did than ever before, as we said. The NFL in particular, the league delivered 70 of the top 100 broadcasts in all of 2024. 70 of the top 100. Anything. You name whatever it is. A music show, an awards show, some sort of special, it doesn't matter. The NFL, 70 of the top 100 shows viewed. Man. That's why Netflix, that's why Amazon, that's why ESPN now launching what they're launching. All of them are finding as much sports programming as possible.
Well, and it's why play-by-play announcers make as much as a number 3 starter in the major leagues if they're Joe Buck or if they're even Al Michaels makes $1 million a game.
And he gave up trying long ago.
That's right. Yeah. These contracts for the analysts too are unbelievable. Brady's was whatever it is, $350 million over 10 years, some absurd amount of money. But it's much like sitcoms, the way they went after Seinfeld. When Seinfeld's ratings went crazy, it was absurd to think that you could be paid over $1 million an episode.
The Friends cast held out.
Yep.
Same thing.
Ray Romano got paid millions of dollars per episode of Everybody Loves Raymond because those shows were the appointment viewing, and they would rate in the top 50 of Nielsen's
You
events.
would need a great agent. You need to be able, with a straight face, to walk in there and say, do you know how important Ray Romano?
This show doesn't work without Brad Garrett. You know it and I know it. 1.5 million an episode. Come on, you can do it.
Average viewership for Amazon in 2024 for Thursday Night Football, with a lifeless corpse of a man doing the play-by-play and a disinterested color announcer named Kirk Herbstreit, averaged 14.2 million viewers last year, 8% higher than the traditional based audience count of 13 million. The new methodology certainly helping out there, as Tom pointed out, but it's an expanded reach of 182.8 million for the Super Bowl, which built into that record-setting average audience of 127.7 million people. Whew. People get excited about overnight ratings of 5 million, 8 million, 127 million. That is insane. Massive numbers. Out of home in the count is what's going on now. Now, all these people that come up with this methodology of figuring out who's watching where and what, and if you are the technology that, and you provide that, you launch that, and you can prove it, you're getting rich in your own right, man. That's the classic. You're sitting there with your buddy at a game one day, having a beer, going, what would be interesting is if we could ever come up with an app that somehow, and then somebody's like, that would be great. And then you forget to do it. 7 years later, you read that article, son of a bitch, somebody figured it out. We were talking about that over beers. A lot of those kinds of conversations have occurred amongst all of us. They should have an app that would, like a diagnostic app that would, you could start your car and have it listen to the sounds it's making. It can tell you what it is. Yeah, they do.
Yeah, we had that talk when I was an intern. I always thought there should be a website that tells you what the fair price is for labor and parts for everything related to a car fix.
Yeah.
That way you could walk in knowing if they're trying to bend you over or not in the current body shop that you're going into. And if there was just a website that was truemechanic.com or whatever, there you go. You now know that if they're quoting you for an air filter and it's $90, like that should be $37, sir. I reject your offer. That would be fun, but I'm sure that people have come up with that.
It is also why you and I have said many, many times, and many of you will echo this sentiment out there as we round out solving for the future, that when you find an honest mechanic, it's a great day in your life. What a wonderful day in your life when you're like, I think Ted really could have screwed me there. I have no idea what this flux capacitor is supposed to do. I don't even know that it's a real thing. It sounds like it is. But he says it's only $52. I thought I was about to get gouged for $487 bare minimum. That's what was the number in my head on the way over here.
There actually is. I think everybody has one in town, at least
a flux capacitor.
Yes, of that and an honest mechanic. I know of one.
Yeah, I know of a couple. Yeah,
near where we used to work, right across from the cafe.
Yes,
there's a guy in there that is outstanding. He coaches basketball.
You know, the only, well, I shouldn't say the only. The times that I've encountered very honest mechanics, they're always the kick-ass salt of the earth dudes. They like a hard day's work. They're willing to go in there and get after it. They're greasy. You look at him, you're worried about him. He's not living right. Too many cigarettes, lots of coffee. It's you know, but hey, anything wrong with your car, he's got you. No, by the way, he's not going to screw you because that's not right, and he knows it. Solid as a rock.
My uncle's like that. He's got a shop in Brooklyn.
There it is.
Billy Lang. He works on. That's a great name, isn't it?
Billy Lang. Yeah. It's making a weird sound.
Everybody knows him too in town. Yeah. But he has gotten so good that all he works on are expensive imports.
Well, that helps.
It's a nice business.
It's a very good business.
He took one of his clients' Bentleys out to dinner with us one night. He's like, I'll drive the Bentley. He doesn't mind. You sure? He goes, yeah, he doesn't mind. No big deal.
It's like the story of Billy Joel's Uptown Girl. He comes into the garage. He's working on the car. It's a nice Bentley.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's a silly, sorry song and a stupid video.
Hey, that's the soundtrack of Brooklyn and Long Island, man. Easy.
Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Cloudy skies this afternoon with highs around 85. South winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies with fog in spots tonight. Lows level off around 64. A mix of clouds and sun with fog at times early tomorrow. Highs level off around 88. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 83.
All right, let's talk. If your grill wobbles when you flip a burger or it needs a good kick just to light it, it's time for a serious upgrade. That's where Hearth and Patio in Tallahassee comes in. They've got gas grills, charcoal grills, smokers, even the fancy ones that make you look like you actually know what you're doing. Whether you're a weekend warrior or a full-blown backyard pitmaster, Hearth and Patio's team will help you find the perfect setup. They actually know grills, like they can tell you which one makes the ribs taste the best. And trust me, there's no better feeling than serving up a plate of those perfectly grilled, amazing ribs while your neighbor stares over the fence with pure jealousy. So stop flipping burgers on that rusted-out dinosaur and call Hearth and Patio today, 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282 or online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Your steaks, your burgers, and honestly, your whole neighborhood will thank you. Hearth and Patio, where your grilling dreams come true.
Park Enterprises, roofing and construction services. Cheesebarconstruction.com. We conquer all peaks. We fix those dark leaks. Call 850-766-134. Cheese Park Enterprises, roofing and construction services. Cheesebarconstruction.com.
Like this number, CCC 133-1204.
There it is. Haven't seen this guy since, what was it? Oh, shoot. U2 at the Sphere in Las Vegas, baby.
Hey, how about that, man? Wasn't that fun?
Good show. Good show. Everything about it. Nearly perfect. Nearly perfect.
I had everything I could possibly want.
I wanted one thing, couldn't find it, and I looked everywhere. No Cubans.
What do you mean?
No Cubans.
There was Cubans.
No, I didn't see any Cubans.
Dude,
No.
I'm sure there was Cubans there. I mean,
No, I walked around. There was a moment right before the show. I thought, got to find some Cubans. Nothing.
Dude, there's Cubans. There was Cubans. I'm sure there was Cubans.
In Las Vegas?
In Las Vegas.
No Cubans in Vegas.
There's Cubans in Vegas, man.
Eddie, there were no Cubans.
Chef.
The sandwich. There were no Cuban sandwiches. You're Cuban. Of course I know there were Cubans there.
Oh, the sandwich. Yeah, no, there probably wasn't many there in Vegas.
No Cubans.
No, not yet.
Florida, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
You guys had good descriptions. Missing the end of one finger always has a cigarette hanging from the lip, followed by, and the cigarette is somehow always half smoked with the ash hanging on for dear life. Yeah, that's the reliable guy. Solid as a rock. You know he's going to give you the straight dope when you go in there about what's wrong with your vehicle. Especially for those of us that have no working knowledge of how a car operates.
Frank Malone. That's his name.
Frank Malone.
Frank Malone.
Not it's very close to Sylvester Stallone's brother. Very close.
What was his name? Frank?
Yeah, I think it's
Frank
Frankie
Stallone?
Frankie Stallone. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that's correct.
Yep, that's him. My brother, he sings. He sings in the street.
Oh, man. I wonder, and I'll ask you, since we brought it up earlier, and a lot of people, it was a touchstone. It's something I think about all the time now. I bring it up incessantly. People are probably tired of it about how bad it is for the sport, but I do wonder, do we think that next year at this time, when we go into the doldrums, when we enter the summertime officially, that we're going to have any better handle on college football and the regulations necessary to see people feel, at ease about what we're watching and what's happening in the sport? Or do you think we're another 2-3 years off? I just texted with somebody during the break to ask the question, who's in the business? And they were like, oh, no, I think we're years off. Well, that ain't going to fly, man. I'm telling you, it's not going to fly.
I think we'll be closer in the sense that we'll have some options on the table that are going to clearly take time, meaning
how they operate, how it implements, yes.
Reclassification of college football to its own sport. I think that'll be something that's on the table and not near finalization, but it'll be a part of the conversation. Like Dabo spoke about that a week or two ago, about how he thinks that football is you're going to grab your top 50 teams or whatever, you're going to stick them in a league. And he thinks that that's closer than people feel that it is right now. That's his particular opinion. I don't think he's wrong. You can't tie the revenues brought in to football to everything else in the athletic budget.
Right.
I just don't think that's smart. And right now, what the courts are telling you, if the House settlement goes through, is you've got to siphon off a certain percentage of that. I think at some point people are going to get tired of having to go back to the courts, and they're just going to want to declare something so. Football's separate, collectively bargained. It's over here. Everything else in college is over here. Everybody good, great, grand, wonderful. And that's probably next year going to be part of it.
It would be nice, too, because obviously you'd have the opt-outs. You'd have the folks that say, well, we don't want to be part of that. That's never what this was supposed to be, not our goal anyhow as a university. So I'm not saying Wake, but I use Wake as an example. Small schools that don't have the means by which to operate the highest levels of semi-pro / pro football, which is what that top 50 becomes very quickly. And they go back. And you know what? I would want that to happen because I would rather enjoy the other brand as well. I would have options. I would understand what I was watching over here. These are two teams that are largely on the same level financially. They're in the ballpark. This one may have a little bit more than the other one, but they can afford to go out and put together, if run properly, an elite program. And if they don't, it's just like in baseball where no, not baseball. How about a salary cap league? It's like the NFL. So just gone straight there. In the NFL, if you don't make the playoffs for 15 straight years, your ownership is a bunch of dorks. They're terrible. The league is set up for you to make the playoffs. It's a salary cap league. You're built to go 8-8 under the old 16-game schedule. If you can't find a way to make the playoffs in over a decade, well, then you're dysfunctional. You are incompetent.
Yeah, you defy the odds the bad way.
There's no reason for that. And But in the system set up right now in college football, there are the haves and the have-nots, and it's outlandishly disparate now in a way that it was always disparate. But, man, people weren't out here spending $40 million on a roster 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It wasn't happening. There was some handshakes under the table, and it was all, a little shaky. Nobody was out here having a $40 million roster. It wasn't happening. So now you got no shot, man. I mean, you're not competing with Texas. You're not. And long-term, Florida State couldn't. You're going to need to get a handle on this. You're never going to be atop the mountain once it goes over to here, but there are so many schools that are way worse off than, say, us. And so if you're, I don't know, you want to be Tulane and you say, we can't do that. Great. I'll tune in on Saturday when Tulane plays Marshall, and I'll know they're on the same page. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I agree. I think I would still hold interest in that other level.
I would watch it.
You could even entertain a conversation in which that level has access to a playoff for a spot or two. Now, they abide by different rules, and so it would be like a service academy making the playoff, and you think that would be a cool thing.
You'd root for it, but it'd
be a sideshow. They get slaughtered in the first round by whoever they play. Or some years, maybe they keep it within 10 and it gets interesting. That could be its own deal. It's just, I think that's going to be a part of the conversation. I also think that some variety of the House settlement will have passed. I'm not saying it's going to do so before the season. I'm just saying that if we're sitting here on May 1st, 2026, I think there'll be something that is passed that controls costs a little bit. The one market force that you're hoping for is that the universities themselves start to say, all right, man, at what point? Like, not just the public who's crying for regulation, but the universities themselves are looking for a little bit of help. And that's right now, somebody's always desperate. Somebody around the country is always going to desperately spend to chase down a championship that they're dying for, that they're starving for. But I think next year, if these numbers continue to climb, 40, there will be a line at which it's not a bubble per se, but people will say enough's enough. So that will be a conversation. Will it be resolved? No. And you'll have this other, it could be reclassified into a different sport conversation. I think potential solutions will be bantied about next year more aggressively than now. Right now, there are more questions. Nobody has a solution.
Yeah, you can entertain the idea that there could be collusion, but usually collusion works when you're talking about a much smaller league. Now, nobody would ever admit to it, but this is something that has occurred in professional sports before with a wink, wink, nod, nod, back alley understanding. We're not crossing this line. This is usually what leads to strikes or lockouts and labor disagreements of the highest order. But you will get when one side, when the balance of power has shifted too far the other way, you'll end up seeing something that looks an awful lot like a violation where you go, so nobody's going to pay the highest rated free agent in this field $13 million this year? Really? Nope. Nobody's going to sign Barry Bonds today? Okay. That seems odd. The numbers are there. Seems like maybe everybody's agreed that they're not going to do this, right? You couldn't do it in college. Too many teams, way too many desperate programs. Somebody's going to go, yeah, no, you can shut it down if you want. You don't feel like spending $28 million, $22 million this year? We're going to spend 37.
Right. When the going rate's $600,000 on a defensive end and Auburn is really wanting him, they'll spend 1.2.
Right.
And okay.
And they're going to get him.
And they're going to get him.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not going to – and there's too many teams that would be willing to do that right now. I don't know. I don't think you could get an agreed upon wink, wink, nod, nod.
Yeah, well, the other thing you could be looking for is what you are suspecting is going to happen, which is decreased ratings because people are tired of it. At that point, the networks will certainly govern the sport towards being fixed because they'll say, we're not losing money on our investment. Screw you. We're figuring this out for you.
The golden goose.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I think around the corner, we're about to see a precipitous drop-off if this continues as is. Now, as long as you dangle the carrot that there is some sort of reform and regulation and some professionalism or aspect of that people can look forward to, then fine. But if you just kind of travel down the path of nobody's in control of the sport, nobody has a way to govern what we're watching and what we're doing in the sport, why bother?
Yeah, I think that's the end game here, is because if there's less interest, then there's less money for coaches. There's less money to go around everywhere. So once your money is threatened, you'll make something happen. Like, there was too much money in the college football video game for it to be gone forever. Now, it was gone far too
long time, buddy.
But they figured it out finally, how to make it work.
Speaking of which,
NIL opened the door for that. But it's a cash cow. In the same way, once the money is threatened, the networks are going to step in and be, okay, here's the rules.
New release is in July.
Yeah. Yep.
2 months.
I enjoyed it this year. I just didn't play it as much as I thought I was going to.
I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it took me a little while to remember the controls and learn the new ones and figure out, what works within the game and what doesn't and why. Crossing routes were big.
Yeah.
Really important.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mesh was the best. Every year there's a concept.
Mm-hmm.
Mesh was the one this year.
Yeah. But it was thoroughly enjoyable. That's another thing now. How about the college football game becoming Madden? And what I mean is not in gameplay, but the fact that we're all going to look at the guys that were on the cover. Quinn Ewers was on that cover. That Michigan running back was on that cover. Ewers went in the 7th round. The Michigan running back didn't get drafted. The curse of the college football cover, buddy. Now, Travis Hunter was also on the cover of that game, and he went number 2 overall, and it's going to work out. Speaking of which, if you're a Jacksonville Jaguars fan, I found it very, very interesting that the Jags intimated that they view Travis Hunter from the lens of receiver first, corner second. That's a mistake. I'm first guessing that's a mistake. But they are talking about it like we were talking about how much the balance would have to be, how much harder it is to do what he did in the pros than it is college, just physically more demanding. Talking about grown-ass men in their 30s out here hitting you.
Yeah.
And the toll that it takes. It doesn't matter that they run fewer plays, that it's so physically taxing. But the point is, we also think he's a freak, so we were interested, and I think we are all interested. I thought they would look at it the opposite way. Like, he's a corner. He's a lockdown corner. You know how hard it is to find a lockdown corner? I mean, like a real lockdown corner, not just a good corner, not just a Pro Bowl corner, a lockdown corner. Like, I set it and forget it. I'm shading my safety the other way. I don't need to help you. You got this. The other team's number 1 receiver every week is you. Those are hard to come by. And if he's that, then you would always, first and foremost, emphasize the amount of defensive plays he's out there for as opposed to offensive plays.
Yeah, this is where, again, the discussion about the lockdown corner that we had. In the last 20 years, how many lockdown corners
there
have
haven't been many.
6?
Yeah, and most of the time, lockdown corners aren't lockdown corners for long.
Right.
It's so taxing. Like, Jalen Ramsey was a lockdown corner for a snapshot.
Yeah, about 3 years.
About 3 years. He hasn't been a lockdown corner in some time.
Right. So, but I think our
Revis
definition
was at one point. Yeah,
our definition's more stringent. Champ Bailey was, and yeah. So maybe 6 or 7 in the last 20 years, like truly special lockdown multi-year corners.
Yeah, guys that, I mean,
how many 1,200-yard receivers are there a year? 6 or 7.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I say it's a mistake. I'm really surprised the Jags are looking in that direction, that's what they would do. I'm very interested to see, because even if you are a proponent of and think that he's capable of playing both ways, even if you were to argue full time, I think that's absurd, and I don't think it's going to happen. But let's just say that's the goal. So you wouldn't have, there's still a split. You're still going to look at how many plays on each side of the ball do you want this guy out there? Because nobody plays every play. I mean, yes, if you only play one side of the ball, you might play every defensive snap or every offensive snap. But if you're going to play both, you are going to have to measure. You're going to have to say, okay, well, listen, let's say there's 120-something plays in this game total. He's not going to play 120-something plays. So how many of these plays do we want him on offense, and how many plays do we want him on defense? And they're leaning more towards the offense. That's interesting. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, it's not worth it relative to the number 2 overall pick and the haul you gave up for him to be an offensive player. You can find a lot of dudes to do that. I agree. Get him on the field for 20 or 30 offensive snaps and have him be a defender. That would be the way to do it.
Yeah, and if he's able to dominate on the defensive side, then I'd be like, all right, well, let's start experimenting. Let's see what he's got on the offensive side. All of that's fascinating. I don't think that – we're up against it? My bad. I ran long. This is what happens when you hire a blabbermouth to do a talk show. Chef Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
The best happy hour in the city is at Café de Martín and El Bar.
Check it out. Look at that. This is from my friends at Huel. I'm going to tell you a little story about Huel. Huel is obviously paying for this advertisement, which is great. There's no shame in that. They recognize the popularity of the Great Jeff Cameron Show, and they want to be a part of it. And for that, I'm grateful. But I was drinking Huel. I was having Huel shakes, Tom, in the morning 2 years ago. I came across it one day when I was researching nutrition because I don't do well in the mornings. I don't eat breakfast all that often, and I know that I need to. And I never really feel hungry, but I know I need, obviously, the nutrients that come with eating a balanced breakfast, something that's good for you, a meal, if you would. And this is a meal in a bottle. That's what this is. It is unbelievable what you get with this. It is packed with nutrients that your body needs. This is no prep, no cooking. I'm out the door, and it tastes good. It's affordable. It's delicious. And right now, new customers get 15% off plus a free gift at Huel.com when you use my code. My code is Warchant. You're going to want to do this today. Mornings can be chaos in a lot of our houses. I understand that. You're out the door. You realize you haven't put together a balanced meal. Huel will do that for you. You drink it, you're on the go. And here's the thing, you feel full and you're ready to go. Go again to Huel.com. Use my code Warchant. You'll get 15% off. New customers, 15% off plus a free gift at Huel.com when you use my code Warchant.
Buy what you've been wishing for. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas has the hot tubs you need for the price you want. Come shop our huge 12,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our used showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did.
From the championship stage to coaching change and everything in between, Warchant.com remains your home for the best FSU football coverage in the business. Brutally honest columns and features, market-leading multimedia presence across video and podcast, the largest FSU fan community with a staff that combines for over 100 years of experience covering the Noles. When change comes, Warchant.com is your home for analysis from every angle. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Sign up today.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
I will tell you that reading Joshua Raymond's comments and his post-commitment to Florida State, got another one of those echoing the sentiment, Tom, that I've talked about a lot, which is I think his greatest strength, and he needs to keep it coming. Talking about Norvell and the way that he talks to potential portal players, and I hope recruits, and I hope he's doing it much more often. But, quote, Florida State's amazing. Obviously, the long history of winning. Everything they have is top tier. Coach Mike Norvell is amazing. Straight shooter. When you sit down and talk with him, a regular guy doesn't seem to have that ego. That's what he's about, challenging me. What I'm about. I think he's a great guy. Okay, there you go. Good. More of that. More of the challenging thing. I think it's going to work. In an era of ass kissing, I think that's the approach.
Well, he's done it before.
It's also very much who he is. You don't have to fake something.
He's got a portal pitch. Can we just get that
translated to a high school pitch?
You know what? This is kind of like a hybrid portal pitch because these kids are teenagers still.
I mean, I know that, we're entering in, as they say, to the lie to me season and all that stuff. And I don't know if any of this means that they're going to dramatically turn things around. I don't know if Mike can get this turned around. I think he's really up against it. I think you guys can tell that I believe that. I've certainly intimated that and talked about it at length. I think he's done a lot of damage to himself, the brand, and the ability to recruit this place back to where it needs to be. I'm not saying he can't do it. It is a different era, and I'm thankful that it is, because otherwise he would be dead in the water. He would be a declared dead man walking. He's not, because of the era we live in. He has a chance. I'm just going to monitor closely to see how he goes about it, but I think that's the most effective way to do that, to just be so straightforward and honest and brutal about it.
Agreed. And I think the thing here, as it relates to the talking point of the moment, the flavor of the week, which is, recruiting, is it seems like the way he approached staff changes was he aired it out for the most part. I mean, you can't change everybody head to toe on staff, but 2 new coordinators, he's not calling plays offensively anymore. He understood the magnitude of the moment.
Yeah.
And he answered the bell when it came to the level of change. You might love the hires. You might hate the hires. That it doesn't matter. Like, he saw it that there needs to be drastic fundamental change.
Significant, yeah.
And I need to focus on something different in the course of a spring camp than I've ever focused on before in my head coaching career. So you're seeing urgency.
That part would be fun, I think, Tom.
You get to erase the board and start from scratch. There's always an appeal to that. A new job is like that.
Well, and I think no matter how daunting and overwhelming the task and how up against it, the pressure, all that you would feel after the failures of that last season, you can't wallow in that. So what you would have to do, like you say, is start anew, but attack that fresh start. And it gives you such an opportunity to really develop another aspect of leadership that perhaps you were lacking. You can become this other thing that propels you to being a long-term success if you survive.
Right.
If you survive this year into next.
Well, and I think on the ground, day to day, practice for practice, I think he's answered that bell. Doesn't mean that it's going to work, but I think that's what you've seen here. It's just that don't even take our word for it in the beat.
No.
National recruiting reporters, right? They got no dog in the fight. Where is it that the NACOs of the world are telling you, or the Wiltfongs, or whoever you like from whatever network, are saying, boy, Florida State is unrelenting on the trail. Now, they're going to get told no a lot because they went 2-10, but it won't be for a lack of getting kids on the phone, visiting kids on campus, trying to get kids in here, the list of invites that they have to bring into their mini camps and their junior days. There is no stone unturned. You're not hearing that.
Well, you haven't. No, you have not heard that. I need to hear that.
Right. And I think what's happening this week is a lot in our own fan base and consuming our own multimedia. Like, what the hell, guys? Well, you don't even have to take our word for it. This is where it would cross the desk of somebody who's working out of Nashville. And they'd be like, well, Florida State is not messing around now. They realize that they have brought themselves on the brink. And if they go down, it won't be for a lack of turning over.
Boy, I can't wait to read that piece.
Right.
Let's get to that piece.
I would love that too, because I think he's done it on the football front. How about on the behind the scenes front and the portal front to a degree? They're being aggressive with their backfill.
And then we could relax and have a happy and healthy happy hour with a natural experience, if you will, carefree moment, thanks to Cornbread's THC gummies. Also CBD. They've got a 1-to-1 THC CBD ratio. By the way, no synthetic ingredients, Farm Bill compliant. Cornbread uses no harsh solvents, no petrochemicals or industrial acids, none of that nonsense. It's a glorious thing. And right now, you can save a bunch of money if you want to give it a go. Jeff Cameron Show listeners, you get this offer, 30% off your first order. All you got to do is go to cornbreadhemp.com/warchant. That is cornbreadhemp.com/warchant. Promo code warchant at checkout. cornbreadhemp.com/warchant. Use the code warchant for 30% off your first order. Cheers to a healthier happy hour. Happy hour tomorrow, buddy. When Florida State baseball gets underway, it's going to be good.
I would think the tailgate lots will be rocking around
the Oaks
3:30, I'd say. I mean, even the general tailgate lots, the Oaks are always going. It's always a great time.
Yeah, the Oaks will be fun tomorrow.
I think a lot of people are going to cut out of work early tomorrow and they're going to start their weekend at the Oaks before 4:00 Eastern.
Feels like people need a good Friday, like a fun Friday.
Sounds good. Well, it's graduation weekend, so be careful driving around campus. You got a lot of people who don't know where they're going.
Oh, I forget. This is the time of year, the Exodus.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
You can drive about freely without the frustration soon.
Think about it this way. This time next year, you're going to be weepy. Your oldest.
Oh, I don't want to talk about that. That's that'll be weird. Oh, gives me the chills. Bonus hour forthcoming. Jeff Cameron Show. Stay with us if you're listening on radio there. You get to hear all of that, and we'll talk with you tomorrow on Libations Friday. Peace.